Music categories that we're going to use are aerophone, chordophone, idiophone, membranophone, and electrophone. I defined those above, but let's talk a little bit more deeply about them. Aerophones are anything that air blows through. This would usually fall into any kind of woodwind or brass category. Clarinets, trumpets, trombones, tubas, flutes, anything that air blows through is considered an aerophone. Pipe organs are also considered aerophones. Pipe organs work by air blowing through a pipe. Historically, that air was pumped with bellows because they did not have electric air compressors. So the air would move through a pipe, and that's how the sound was made. The key would activate the pipe. Now we have electric organs that don't have any pipes. Those are not aerophones. Those would fall into the electrophone category. So anything that air blows through is an aerophone, and you should be able to put instruments into their proper categories before we get to our test this week. A chordophone is anything that has strings. Harps, guitars, violins, violas, cellos, any string instrument from any kind of music culture is a chordophone. It has chords, it has strings. You can play them in any way, plucking them, striking them, bowing them, but a chordophone works that way. A harpsichord is a chordophone. It is an older instrument that has keys that is played by a feather plucking a string when you hit the key. Idiophones are unique. So idiophones and membranophones are breaking up what we would call our percussion category. Idiophones are solid things that you hit. Triangles, cymbals, wood blocks. It's a solid piece of metal or wood that you hit. Any kind of gourd or shaker would also be an idiophone. It's a solid thing hitting another solid thing. A membranophone is a membrane stretched across a drum, basically. So any kind of drum is a membranophone. Congo, bongo, snare drum, bass drum. Another kind of drum we have is called a timpani. It looks like a big kettle, and you would play it by hitting it, and has different pitches. So if you can look up some pictures of these instruments, and I'll put a couple pictures on our page as well. The last category is electrophone. An electrophone is any kind of electronic instrument. Synthesizers, drum computers, drum pads, electric organs, these are all electrophones. One that's a little bit tricky is an electric guitar. You can play an electric guitar without plugging it in, but it doesn't really make the sound it's supposed to make. So electric guitar, is it a chordophone? Is it an electrophone? I think it's an electrophone, but it's kind of on the category of this or that. So I probably won't put it on our quiz because it falls in the middle. Sometimes people have questions about tambourines too, because tambourines have jangly parts that are idiophones, but they also have a head sometimes that can be a membranophone. So that can fall into a category that kind of, which one is it? So anything that's questionable will not show up on our quiz. But you do need to know some standard instruments that would typically be in a Western instrument setting and how they would fit into those different 5 categories. So make sure you think about instruments and whether they would be aerophones, chordophones, idiophones, membranophones, or electrophones.